with Brodie passing, it was just the shits. It just sucked in your will for a long time, and it's just a devastating thing. And I was saying, you know, we've seen these unfortunate events like with Owen passing and everybody, you know, on stage, and with Eddie Guerrero passing and everybody on stage. Um, you know, and you always sucked. Just watching it sucked. I think just watching these segments were so hard. But now, you know, having that happen to you, it's um, it's a whole nother deal, man. It just sucks because you can't do anything. I remember, you know, speaking to Amanda, and I was almost over line, just like, hey, he'll be fine, man. Don't worry, like he'll be fine. He'll kick out. He's Brodie, you know. He'll be fine. And I think it was on the I think it was on the 26th, right, when he passed away. I had a party at my house. We celebrated. It was nighttime. Everybody was together, and when I got the news, it's a terrible thing, man. It's a terrible, terrible thing, and it's something that you can't even comprehend, like you as an outsider, to know how much Brodie meant to everybody. You know, you guys know Brodie from wrestling, but a lot of us know Brodie from real life, and you know, being with him around. I was there on his first day in FCW, and he had a rigged tryout. I always say that, and I always will say that because Brodie had a rigged tryout, and you know, the first day he came in, we all saw him. He was a big guy with his hair, the beard, crazy looking. So I had no idea about the indies at all. I had no idea about, you know, anything outside of WWE. And when he came in, I was like, all right, well, he's clearly, and he got called. You know, it's 8 a.m. on a Monday or Tuesday, whatever day it was, and we're all sitting in FCW arena because this is what we do. We sometimes we just have matches. 8 in the morning, you get in there, you and go and have a match. So we have this new guy, you know, Brodie, and he gets pulled in a different room with John Moxley, and the next thing you know, 10 minutes later they have a match, and clearly they killed it. I mean, first of all, they were always so good. They're both amazing, but you know, you don't have to know much to see Brodie and see that he was just an amazing performer, and he was just as good then as he was, you know, before he passed, and um, it was a no-brainer, man. Then he had some really ups and downs in developmental. You know, he had a lot of, well, all of us we did. You know, they're trying to figure out what to do, and they're trying to put him in trunks. Him and Eric Rowan had to. They were a tag team then. They had to wear trunks, like wrestling trunks, and Brodie didn't even have trunks. Brodie hated it every single moment, but it doesn't matter because he still did it. He borrowed, I think, Eric Rowan's trunks, and he went out there with the men from the North Trunks and performed, man. And you know, then they came up with this whole Bryant family, Wyatt family, and all that. And it was a perfect casting because Brody is so damn good, and he's just such an unbelievable talent, man. And she's just one of the greatest human beings you'll be around. Everybody wanted to be around Brody. Every single person wanted to be around Brody because everybody loved Brody. And being on the road with him for what 2014 to whatever, and for most of the time you're on the road 4 to 5 days a week. It's not like now it's once a week or now every 10 days or whatever it is. But we used to travel 5 days a week. He was home to Amanda and little Brodie for a day and a half at most. That schedule is crazy. When you leave Friday morning, you don't come back till Wednesday noon or afternoon. And then you gotta do all that, and Friday you gotta go again. And you know, him being so much away from his family, he always talked about him though. He always loved him so much. He always will love him so much. Um, but yeah, everybody wanted to be around Brodie because Brodie was a cool guy, man. But he's not like a cool guy, but he was just fun to be around. Everybody gravitated towards Brodie, and everybody wanted to be entertained by him. And also, what it's amazing thing about him is the ability, or maybe it's not ability, just who he is he was able to speak to so many different people on so many different subjects. Brodie's friendship was not alike with everybody else. Like me and him will talk basketball, we'll talk hockey, we'll talk different things, but he'll go with different people. He wouldn't even talk about this because there was not their interest. And Brodie found everybody's interest, and everybody had interest in Brodie. And um, yeah, man, he's just gonna be so missed. I had the opportunity to ride, a few times with him. Besides the buses, clearly an overseas tour. But in America, I think I've traveled just with my wife, with the Usos, and with Brodie. That's the only people that I ever, I think, that I believe that I got to travel with. And it was a pleasure, man. Just because he was such a nice and calm person, and his voice is so like he had the sweetest voice. Like you see him yell and curse and all that, but when he is just around and talking to you, his voice is so like soothing and so calming, and his little pops, he just will say things uh, just to pop himself. It was just unbelievable. He was like, huh? He'll say something, huh? Just like quick pop himself, and then he keeps going. But man, there's not enough kind words you can say about Brodie. And yeah, man. But the legacy that he leaves behind, I feel like he is 100% the most loved person um, ever. Well, ever, me. I always say ever, but everything everybody was shook, man, across. It doesn't matter what company you work for or how big into wrestling you are. If you've seen Brodie and you've seen the way he he treats
You
everybody,
have just
his
subscribed
family,
and not
and
feeling
his
right.
values, you have to
Welcome to
love
the
Brodie.
Handsome Chatters.
I've never seen or heard anybody speaking bad about Brodie, and there's not many people like that. Yeah, man. But his family, Amanda, such an amazing woman, so strong, man. This woman is so strong, and she she she's been through so much, and she did so much, and clearly my condolences. I That's the other thing, man. I felt so bad of just saying to her, my condolences, because I felt so bad. It was just like, he not many people know, but my uncle passed away a few months ago. Or maybe you guys know. I don't know if I told you or not, but I don't think I did say that. And it was just, it was also a terrible, terrible thing. Um, but maybe because I was away from my uncle for so many years. And as much as I love him, clearly I love him. I love my cousins and all my aunts and and he's my dad's brother. So I really mourn for that. Um, but Brody was a completely different thing, man. I was around Brody for so long and for so many hours and for so many years, and now we had to catch up. We've seen each other since I came to AEW, and we'll be passing back and forth, and we always love each other, man. But it's not, he was busy, he was doing his thing, and I was just getting there. So I wanted to kind of get familiarized with the situation. And finally, after a couple of weeks or 3 weeks or whatever it was, he was like, "Hey, when are we gonna sit down and catch up?" And I said, "That sounds absolutely fantastic." Um, but it was very, unfortunate that we didn't even get to do that. Because even though we were together for so many years, we were also apart because he went home, then I went home, and he went to AEW, I was home, and then I came in. But it was just such a short time that. And I also, the other thing, I don't think I ever wrestled Brody either. Like, it would have been such an amazing time wrestling him because just watching him, he was having so much fun on every live event, every show, because he was so damn good, man. And when you're so damn good, you can get you can you can have fun. When you're so good, you can have fun, and he knew it. He knew he was good too. He never had a self doubt. I think he knew how good he was, and because we all knew how good he was. Um, I remember. Um, I remember after he won the IC title, we came back. He was so, I met him. I was like, "Congrats, man!" There was a big deal. I think he told me that was his favorite title. Like the IC title was his favorite title, and he was so he was so upset after the match because of one reason or another. But nevertheless, man, if that was his favorite championship, he get to have it. So a lot of the things that he wanted to accomplish, I'm pretty sure he did. But the biggest accomplishment, once again, is his family. It has nothing to do with the ring, and he knows that. His number one goal was to be the best father that he can, and he definitely was. He provided for his family, gave him all the love, all the thoughts, constantly 24/7. And I remember 2018, I actually went through my text messages, and I said, "Happy New Year." 18, was it 18, 19, whatever year it was. Um, like, what are you doing? Because he went home and he stayed long. He stayed home or he had surgery or whatever. Yeah, and I'm like, don't you want to come to work? Because when you're in a bubble, when you're in a bubble, I mean, when you're just working and you're on the road all the time, um, you kind of feel like you have to work all the time. When you have downtime, it's kind of weird because you're just not used to it. When you're on the road so many days, and when you're home only a day and a half, your home becomes kind of a hotel. So it's really you want to be on the road all the time. And I'll text him. I'm like, "Hey man, don't you want to go back to work? Like, what's happening with you?" And he's like, "No, I don't want to ever go back to work. He just wants to stay home with his family because he loved it." And now finally, after all these years of battling the indies and the WWEs and the
You have
schedules
just
and all that,
subscribed, and I feel right.
he,
Welcome to the Handsome
I
Chatters.
believe, he finally found his dream job, and the AEW was his dream schedule. Our schedule is so light, and Brody moved to Florida, so he could just be with his family all the time. All he had to do is just work once a week, and that's it. And I'm pretty, and that was Brody. That's what Brody wanted to do, man. That's what Brody wanted to do because he loves wrestling, but he always wanted to spend his always time with his family. So yes, he would work once a week, but then you get to be with your family the entire time. So that was going to be his absolutely dream schedule, and he lived it. He did live it for a little bit, unfortunately, for a very very short time, but. Yeah.